Morning. Today we're on that local job I mentioned we were coming to. We've got quite a bit going on. We've got site strip, we've got a hole to fill, we've got crushing, we've got a shed to take down, which is already down actually, so we missed that. And then we've got the new shed to go up. So I'll fill this dumper up and I'll show you a bit more. Okay, so what we've got is, there's an old sort of pit here where all the dirty water and the slurry went into. So they've sucked that out this morning. We've got to scrape the bottom out and we've got to fill that in. And then we've basically got a yard sloping like this. There was an old pole barn there and a fairly newish portal frame building there that they wanted down. They wanted to save and move elsewhere. So we're dismantling that, or we have done. And we've just got to take the posts out now. This hole here, we're going to fill that with some of the big rubble that we take from here. And then we've got to take this wall down, sort this concrete yard out, rip all that concrete, all the breeze block walls out, and then the customer's got two big piles of rubble as well. We're going to crush all that and use that as all the base for the whole shed. So once all this is down, there'll be a new grain store going here, which is, well, it's 90 foot long, but the grain part is 80 foot. And then on this end, there's a 15-foot open bay where we're going to put a grain dryer in there with the door in the far side. So, and it's about 60 foot deep. So effectively the door is in the side of the building. So loud. The door is in the side of the building, and like I say, so we've got an 80 foot by 60 foot grain store, and then we've got the 15-foot bay on the end. So unfortunately for us, one of the row of foundations goes through that pit there, so we've got to get all that muck out, see what's in the bottom of it, see what the ground's like, and ultimately dig through to get the foundations. We'll then put a row of retaining panels in there, and all this ground inside the building can be built up. There's a fair difference in levels. There's probably a good 2 meters from there to there. So we'll put a couple of meters of retaining panels in the bottom. We'll fill the inside of the building up. The outside then obviously is 2 meters lower, but the council have said they don't want to see any concrete panels, so we've got to backfill and mound the soil back to that and make good afterwards. So that's phase one of the job. Phase two is this wall here, this silage clamp wall, and the floor inside is all going to come up and come out, and there's another building to go in here. So while the machine's here, they asked me to knock one of the end bays off just to give them a bit more room to get around and also see what the construction was, which it was as thought. There's a couple of layers of reinforcing mesh and it's just a poured concrete wall. So years ago they would have shuttered these walls. Still do it now if that's what suits what you want, but you'd shutter the walls, you put your mesh inside, we'd weld the mesh to the stanchions, and then you pour wet concrete in and get a formed wall. That way the concrete goes from outside a stanchion to outside a stanchion, so you've got no lips like with concrete panels you have if you put them in the web of the steel. So we broke all that up now. That's all ready to go through the crusher. There's a lot of rebar in it. It's just going to be a slow job and a bit of a nuisance, but it'll pull it out. So one thing that we have noticed, and probably on the back of whether it was COVID or Brexit, whatever it was, or white diesel coming into our industry, is stone for the ground has become more and more expensive, to the point where it is making a lot of customers and farmers look more at what they've got on site. Now pretty much every farm that we go to has got piles and piles of some form of rubble on site. All that stuff is too big to put in the ground. You don't want big lumps of stuff, you want it all crushed down to a nice size. So because of the price of stone, it's making it far more cost effective now to have all this stuff crushed and relayed. So you're recycling your own product, you're not having to buy new product in, and there's nothing wrong with it. Okay, it might be a bit mucky, but it's no different than some of the recycled stuff, because some of the places that you're buying recycled material from, all they're doing is they're taking that stuff in, crushing it in the yard and then selling it back to you. So Dave's Big Pecker is not the only new toy we've got, because I've been spending as well. So last week I bought a rotating selector grab for demolition works. We're getting more and more of that sort of stuff where we're demolishing, or like this, for argument's sake, all of that concrete sectional frame there is an old ATCOS building. It's a nuisance to try and move it all around and sort everything out with just the bucket. So we bought rotating selector grab. We can come in, I'll save hours upon hours of time sorting through all of that there. And when we come to demolish anything, it's far easier. You've got all the kit, you've got the machine sat there, and you can just pick through whatever you want. You can pick the timbers off. I wasn't allowed to dismantle this one because it was a dismantle job, not a demolition job, and I'm good at the demolition works, but it makes it just so easy for moving material around, stacking it all up nice, neat and tidy. So we've got a selector grab, which has just been delivered here this morning, brand new. I'm just waiting for the guys now to come and put my connectors on so I can pipe it up to the machine. And then I've also been spending big as well because we bought a crusher. Now, we didn't have a crusher before, we've always hired one in as and when we've needed one. But like I'm saying, because of the material on farm, because new material to buy in is so expensive, we're getting a lot more inquiries. So we've bought a 12-ton crusher, which is a jaw crusher, and I'll do you a separate piece on that so it'll explain what it is, but you'll see it on this job here. So, crusher's turned up. The guys have been and fitted the pipes on the grab, so we'll show you the grab now, but just a quick recap where we're up to. We crushed this material last night. We're going to show you the crusher in another video. We'll do a separate video on the crusher altogether in a week or two's time. We bought in some material because we're still going to be short, so we've got about 600 tonne was brought in yesterday afternoon and today, so we've started levelling that in now. We've got to put it in then in layers, and then compact a layer, and then over the top compact, over the top compact, and keep going until we get effectively the right level. I'm going to have a look at the grab. We've had another problem. Dave's big pecker has broke down. I don't know whether it's an age thing or what, but it's not working. So we've had to send that off to get it repaired, and we've had to borrow one off, or hire one off John Fox Hire. So that's on there. So here it is. This is the Hammer rotating selector grab. So there's loads of different kinds of these. You can have a fixed grab so they don't rotate like that at all. We wanted the rotating one. A lot of the time what we're doing with it is sorting through stuff, which I'll show you a bit of after, in terms of piles of rubble and stuff, and there's an old ATCOS shed that we've got to sift through. So it's easy for sifting through stuff like that and putting it where you want it, a lot quicker than using a bucket. And also we use it for demolition. So when we're coming to doing the intricate work of taking stuff down, that's why the rotating selector grab is better for us, because you can really get up and turn, and you can grab a purlin if you need to and pull it out, or however you want to do it. So that's why we've gone for the rotating one. Now, it was a bit of a toss-up whether we went for this size or the next size up. This is the smaller size of the two that we had the option of, really, to go on the 13-ton machine. But again, we went with the slightly smaller one because it's just a bit easier for us to get into them tight places if we need to when we're dismantling something. So that's why we went for the smaller one. But basically, we'll hook this up to the machine. So the front of the 13-ton, the quick hitch, will come on here and hook on. And then you pipe it up, so you've got two pipes in either side. There are your two lines. You've got your one feed in your grab, which is like a clamshell, and then the other will do the rotate. I've already had a little dabble, as you can see, with it, but we'll get it hooked up now. We'll show you guys what this thing can do. Might be a bit rusty at first. It's been a while since I've driven with one of these on, and the last time was on a hired machine, and the controls were actually the other way around. So I've got to get used to doing it the right way now. But when you get good on them, you can literally pick up a matchbox off the floor. So, see how I get on. Let's go! Okay, so I'm going to sign off now. Before Papa G gets miserable that I'm doing nothing and he's over there doing all the work. We've got to get it ready for Wednesday for Dave. He's coming to sort the levels out with the total station. He's been spending again, actually, thinking about it. He's got a new bit to show you at some point. So I'm going to get all this, the rest of the building and the block work and everything down, get the yard ripped up, get it somewhere near level-wise, and then it'll be ready for Dave. So I'll leave you with a new job at Coates Heath montage of diggers, groundworks, peckering, not crushing yet, that'll be next week, and the selector grab. And if you like what you've seen, hit subscribe, ring the bell, catch you next time. Cheers.